Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Quotation again. In this video, we are going to do the practical for some of the important methods of a string class in Java. Before we start, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Let's begin. Let's start with the practical for string methods. For that, I'm going to create a class, let's say string methods, and there I'm going to first add a main method. Now let's start with a very basic method, which is length method. So I'm going to declare a variable s1 and put a literal as hello. Now what does length method do? As the name suggests, it will calculate the length of this literal and it will give us that result. So suppose we do s1 dot length and we print this thing. So out, let us print the length of this. So this should give us 5. Let's run this code. Building and it should print 5. Now the next method that we'll see is charAt method. As the name suggests, it will give us the character at a specified index. So suppose you have this string s1 and I'll again do this out and I'll say s1 dot, suppose you want to see what is character at first index, and remember these index it starts with 0, so 0 index is h, then at first index it is e, second index is l. So let's just say what is at index 1, it should give e. Now let's run this code. It is again building and it will give us e. Why? Because it will say index 0, at index 0 it is h, and we say that print the value or print the character at index 1. So it gives us e. Now the next important method is substring method. As the name suggests, it gives us the substrings of a particular string. So you have a string hello, and suppose you want to get the substring ELLO. Now from where does this ELLO start? It starts at index 1. So one variation of getting a substring from a string is where you specify just the begin index. So again, I'll do this print statement and I say s1 dot substring and I'll just specify the begin index. So you want to get ELLO substring and it starts with the index 1. So I'll give here 1 as a begin index and it should print ELLO. What it should print? It should print ELLO. Let's run this code and see. Building and we can see it printed ELLO because it started with the index 1, which is E, and it will print the entire string that is left or entire string that starts from that index. Second variation for substring is where you specify the begin and the end index. So suppose from this string hello you just want to print HEL. Now what we have to see that when you give these two indices like begin index and end index, then the begin index is inclusive limit and end index is exclusive limit, which means that the index that you will specify the second parameter as the end index, that will not be included in your substring. So let's say south and then you say s1 dot substring, you will give the begin index as 0 because we want to print HEL, and the end index will be an exclusive limit. So it will be 0, 1, 2, it should be 3, which means that character at index 3, which means this L, the second L, will not be included. So the string which starts from this second L, this will not be included. What we'll get a substring which starts at index 0 and which ends at index 2 because this 3 is the exclusive limit which is not included. So if we print this, then what it should give? It should give us HEL. Let's run this code. It is a building and let's see what does this print. So it prints hell. So this is a very important point that the second parameter if you are giving as the end index of the substring method, then that index is exclusive. Okay. Now next we have a couple of methods for concatenation or joining of two or multiple strings. So suppose you have string s1 as hello and string s2 as world. Now you want to join these strings or you want to concatenate strings. You have two methods. One is concat and the other one is join. So first we'll see the concat method. If you want to concatenate the string s2 to s1, then you will invoke concat method on string s1 and you will pass s2 as the parameter. So what we'll do, we'll say string s3 will create a new string and we will call concat method on s1 and then pass the parameter as s2. What it will do, it will combine string s1 and s2 and then let's display this s3. So we should see hello world, of course without any spaces because we don't have any space here. So this is running and we see hello world. Now the second method is join method. What it does, in join method you provide the first argument as a delimiter, which means like with which thing you want to join these two strings with, and then you can provide the rest of the strings as the other parameters. So suppose I want to join now all these three strings s1 s2 s3 and I want to separate these three strings or probably uh, delimit them, combine them with a slash sign. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call a string join method and I'll pass the first argument as slash. So what I want these three strings to be joined and separated with this slash sign. Now let's say string s4 is equal to this string join. What I'm going to do, I'm going to display this s4. Let's see. It should combine all these s1, s2, s3 and then it should separate with slash sign. So it will be this is s1 hello world is s2 and hello world is s3. And as you can see, these three strings are joined together and these are separated with this slash sign. The third very easy way to join two strings is what you can simply do is just use the plus operator. So you can do something like this s1 plus s2 and then this will print this hello world as well. So let me maybe remove this and it will print this hello world. It is building and now you can see. So with this way also you can print this. And suppose you want to give a space between s1 and s2. So you can do s1 plus, then you can directly use this literal and you can give space here. So this should do hello plus space and then world. Let's run this. You can see hello world. Now next are the equals and equal ignore case methods of a string. As the name suggests, they are used to compare the content of two strings or more strings. So suppose you have two strings s1 and s2. S1 is hello, s2 is world. Now we all know s1 is not equal to s2 here. So but let's see by doing this, calling this method s1 dot equals s2. Now this should return as false. Let's run this. It is a building and it returns false. Now if I change this s2 to hello, now hello and s1 and s2 both the contents are same, and now if we print this, it should give us true because the content is same. So it is building and it gives us true. But what happens if we change the s2 to capital hello? Both says hello, but of course the string s2 is in uppercase and S1 is in lowercase. So this S1 dot equals S2, this will give us false because it is case sensitive. This equals method is case sensitive. If both the content is same but case are different, it will give us false. To overcome this or to have a different method for this, you have equal ignore case. Now, as the name suggests, it will ignore the case sensitivity and it will just compare this content of it. So now if I print, run this code, it should print us true because content is same, so it gives us true. In the previous example, you saw that I manually converted this S1 to uppercase, but string provides very basic methods which are self-explanatory to convert any string value to uppercase or lowercase. So suppose you have this string S1 which is in lowercase hello, and if I use method to uppercase, so S1 dot to uppercase, and then we'll run this code, you'll see that S1 is hello in small, but then we have used to uppercase method and print that, so it will be printed hello in uppercase. Similarly, you can use S2 dot to lowercase, and you can see this S2 is in capitals. And if you apply to lowercase method and print that, it will print hello in lowercase. So I've run this code. Let's see. Hello is printed in lowercase. Now the next method we have is the trim method. Trim method is used to remove the leading and the trailing white spaces from a string. So suppose you have a string s1 hello, and let me prefix it with some white spaces and also add some white spaces at the end. Now let me print this s1. It will print s1 along with the white spaces. It is building, and you can see hello is printed with the white space. So suppose I want to remove this leading and the trailing white spaces, what I can do, I can simply call the trim method. And when I call this trim method and print this, then you can see that white spaces will get removed. So it is building, and here you can see the white spaces removed. Now the next two important methods of a string class are starts with and ends with method. What it will do, it will tell whether a particular string starts with a particular string or ends with a particular string. So we have S1. Let me change it to, let's say, hello world. And I want to check whether S1 starts with hello. So if you can see, this S1 actually starts with hello, and I have put or invoked starts with method on this object S1, and I am asking if this S1 starts with hello. It indeed starts with hello, so it should print as true. So it is building, and you can see it printed true. So suppose if I would have said that if this starts with world, but you can see this string s1 doesn't starts with world. So this method s1 dot starts with world, this should print false. And if I run this code, you can see that it prints indeed false. As there starts with method, you also have ends with method. Now I'm saying whether s1 ends with world. So if you see s1 indeed end with world, but this is case sensitive, so this should still print false because it ends with world with w small, and I'm using whether it ends with w capital, so it prints false. If I turn it into small, now it should print true because you can see s1 it indeed end with world with small w. Let's run this, and you can see that it printed true. In the start of this video, we saw the method charAt, which takes an input the index and gives in output the character which is present at that particular index. Similarly, we have two methods, indexOf and lastIndexOf. These take in input the characters and gives you in result the index of that particular character. So suppose you have a string s2, and you calls this method s2 dot index of h. Now what you give in input? this capital H and you want to know what is the index of this capital H. If you know, in this string, indexing starts with 0 and H comes at the 0th index. So if you run this code, you will get the result as 0 because capital H is coming at index 0. But what happens if you have multiple characters in that string? So suppose this L, we have 2L. If you call this method s2.indexOf L, what it will do, it will check what is the first index where it can find that character. So in this string, the first L comes at index 2. Now when you run this code, it should print value 2 because index of L, it will find the first index where L comes and it will give you result 2. But if you want to find the last index of this character, you have a method lastIndexOf. What it will do, it will see what is the last index of that character and then it will give you that index. So when you run this, it will give you 3. So you can see it is 3. Suppose we have 3L. What it will do? It will again print, it will this time print 4 because the last index of L now becomes 4. If you run this code, what you will see? It will print 4 because what is the index of the last L? It is 4. It will print 4. Now suppose you gave a character which is not present in this string. So I'm giving W and W is not present in S2. When you run this code, it will give -1. So this way you can find whether a character is present in that string or not. I'm running this code, W is not present in S2, it will give -1. The last method that we are going to discuss in this video is replace method. It has two variations. One variation is where you can replace one character of that string with another character, and the second is where you can replace the entire character sequence with your new character sequence. So suppose you have this string S1 and you want to replace this L in this string S1 dot replace. You want to replace your character L with Z. So it should become hello world. Doesn't make sense, but the method should work. So it should replace wherever it will find L in this S1 with Z. So if you can see it becomes hello world. Now you want to replace the entire character sequence. So I want to replace hello with hey. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say replace hello, which is here, and I'm going to replace this with hey. And when I run this, it should print hey world. It prints hey world. So this concludes this video where we discuss many important methods of strings in Java. If you want to see more methods which are present in a string class or different variations, you can simply go to internet and check the Oracle documents where you can find all the methods with all the variations. If you like this video, hit the like button, do share it with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel Quotation. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.